I'm proud of what we ran on. Protecting a woman's right to choose, raising our minimum wage, fighting the union way of life. Healthcare is a fundamental human right. It saved my life, and it should all be there for you when you ever should need it.
Tonight, you, the good people of Pennsylvania, you won. Opportunity won. A woman's right to choose won.
Well, the red trickle looked more like a drought in Pennsylvania, where Democrat John Fetterman defeated celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz in a pivotal Senate race, flipping a key seat previously held by a Republican. Democrat Josh Shapiro defeated far-right Christian nationalist and insurrection-curious Republican Doug Mastriano in the state's governor's race. Both winners put abortion rights and democracy front and center, defeating candidates like Mastriano, who pledged to enact voting restrictions, and Oz, whose campaign mocked the health of his opponent. It's bad news for Trump, who backed both Republicans in the battleground state that's often decisive in choosing presidents. Joining me now is Representative-elect Summer Lee, winner of Pennsylvania's Congressional District 12 race, and Will Bunch, Philadelphia Inquirer syndicated columnist and author of After the Ivory Tower Falls. Thank you both for being here. Representative-elect Lee, I want to congratulate you on your victory. I was just reading a bit about you, and this is how weird history is. Not only are you the first black woman elected to the United States House of Representatives of Pennsylvania, but 4 years ago, you were the first black woman elected to Pennsylvania's State House. That seems like that's very belated. But tell us what went into your victory. You beat a guy named Mike Doyle, who was trying to replace a guy named Mike Doyle from the other party. Tricky on their part.
Yeah, that's their ploy. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I was the first black woman from Southwest PA, which is a large portion of PA, but I don't want to take credit when we have a lot of sisters doing things in the State House. But, you know, our victory really was grassroots effort, our movement spaces that has just worked for years to really center, you know, working class people and common sense pieces of policy that folks care about that expands the electorate, be it movement, criminal justice reform, housing, environmental justice especially. But we've built and we've organized and we've brought in more people. And at the end of the day, those people came out and voted.
And what do you want to do in Congress? What are your goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think that right now, we have such an urgent moment, right? There's a reason why Black women have never been represented from Pennsylvania. And that is such a lacking perspective in not just Congress, it's a lacking perspective everywhere. But when we have that urgency of lived experience, right? Folks who actually have experienced what it's been to be working poor, what has experienced being in housing insecure, you know, we just bring a different urgency. So those are the issues that I want to work on. I want to work on the issues that impact my community first and foremost, right? Be it housing justice, be it really environmental justice here where we have some of the worst air quality in the nation. I want to talk about environmental racism. I want to talk about racial justice. I want to talk about a living wage and make sure that we're passing the PRO Act so that working class folks have rights on the job. This is work that a lot of folks are doing. I'm here kind of as a part of the cavalry, but to bring in some reinforcements because we need louder voices and we need people who are going to fight with every tool we have these days.
Will Bunch, you've been writing a lot about where we are in this country in terms of this deterioration, this sort of, you know, openness to fascism in the Republican Party. Pennsylvania is such a key state, you know, because had Mastriano in particular won and Dr. Oz, we would be then having a conversation about whether Pennsylvania would affirm its own state's voters or just wipe them out and just put in Donald Trump or whoever Republicans put up in 2024. What's the significance of the Shapiro victory and the Fetterman victory?
It's very significant, Joy, you know, and it's fitting, you know, in the state where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were given birth, that this battle to defend democracy 240 years later centered here. And I think voters really rose to the occasion. You know, I think, you know, living here in Pennsylvania, it was palpable, the sense that democracy was on the line. It wasn't just something that, you know, that you guys in D.C. and New York were talking about in the studio. Voters on the street aware. And I think you're right. I think Mastriano in particular was such an extreme candidate, you know, and he was so out there with his appeals to a kind of Christian nationalism that just didn't jive with the traditions of church and state, which again were, you know, founded here in Independence Hall. And I think voters saw that.